Neither team has done incredibly well on it, but then again, Mirage being very new roster, they haven't technically played under this current banner. Map bans, or sorry, operator bans are coming out on your screen right away this moment. It'll be Mirage choosing the first attacker to take off the board. It's going to be a Monty, of all things, and that's something that the desk spoke about as well. When you see DarkZero, do you get the shield DarkZero? Do you get the non-shield DarkZero? Well, today, Mirage thought they were going to bring the shield, and therefore, they banned it.
Now, here's a weird one.
Ooh, funky
Weird one.
bans.
You see, I would say Nook, but I know you have your special pronunciation. How would you say her name?
Nook.
Nook.
You're
Okay.
actually very close.
Okay, we're
good job.
close enough. So we've got a very unusual ban because you rarely see her played at this level 1, and when you do, it's not something that teams, especially on the defensive side, are usually shaking in their boots going, oh dear, there's a Nook coming, what do we do about this? So that ban is going to be something to keep an eye on as far as the defensive bans go. This is something we see all the time. Mira and those black mirror windows are so incredibly powerful on this map. I mean, this new bank pretty much plays like the bank of old, the bank that you yourself are very familiar with.
And Bank is actually a very historic map for Siege, and so is Coastline. A lot of very big matches and moments in history of this game has been established on Bank and Coastline themselves. And I mean, Troy, he is someone that would know a thing or two about Bank because they played against, Paris Major against G2. There was like the first Caveira interrogation at Major event. Then back in year 1 of Siege, Troy also played on Bank, and year 1 season 3 against Playing Dogs and had like a crazy moment there as well. So a lot of history to go over, really. Mirage, they're starting their history on this map on the CEO top floor defense with Valkyrie open, not in play, but a different shield operator is. It's the Clash on Tomas on this very first round. So very information heavy, right? The Echo, the Maestro, the walking drone that is a Clash. They want to have information to act upon and punish DarkZero for when they come into the building.
We did get spoiled for our first 2 maps of the day, though. We saw some pretty fast-paced action, and Bank generally is a little bit slower paced. And, given that we see the Clash here, given that we saw the Monty ban, we see these teams, it looks like they want to maybe lean in to that slower pace. We could see that here from DarkZero, but hey, maybe if they're able to get past this Mirage setup, if they can somehow bypass Tomas on the Clash, take him down early, maybe that can put them in a really good spot. But the thing is, with the Clash, she can be just the best weapon to have, a literal brick wall that you can slap between yourself, the defense, and the attackers. But the danger, of course, is if he gets a little bit too extended, if Tomas puts himself in a little bit of a crossfire or finds a nade at his feet, all of a sudden you have lost a core part of that defensive setup.
You do, and the walls being opened up from the bomb site itself, allowing those long angles from Benji all the way back in this 4-window room, it's going to speak about how crucial the Clash is. And Tomas being the ideal as well for Mirage, he actually can put himself in a position to make really good directive callouts like, guys, this is where they're going to be coming from, I need to pull it over here, yo, swing off me, I'm a shield, etc. And it's almost like playing Monty on the defensive side because you're not supposed to be using your gun at all when you're on the Clash. You're going to be extended the entire round and doing exactly just this. It's a deployable shield that can move, Jonah. That's really strong.
Well, it's insane, and look what we've got here. We've got both a deployable shield and a Clash in the same position. A classic spot right outside stock here that is usually set up by Wamai. You've got some of those Wamai magnets, of course, because he's banned. Mirage are playing this slightly differently. You still have the shield, but you're using those ADSs in terms of projectile denial, and you're using that Clash to actually staff that position. You put Razor right behind Tomas, and you have got a weapon, a lethal weapon that DarkZero have to be careful before they actually step into.
Absolutely. And the only real counter that DC has at their disposal is Canadian on the Sophia, right? The Sophia stuns, once they make contact with Tomas in the Clash, she will kind of like expose her shells, or there it is, expose her stomach, her center mass, and will take it down quite easily. That's Tomas kind of overextending, a little bit too aggressive, but don't follow up. Pampa, it's party time! Triple kill for him!
He gets one through the wall, taking down Marmalade. I have no idea if he saw her there or just kept spraying, but that is definitely something that Pampa is going to be happy about. I mean, Melted is now going to fall. I mean, I think that's Pampa again, who may have gotten that down, potentially seeking that quad kill, but it turns out it is going to be NJR and Canadian, the ones to clean that up. But that is quite a start for DarkZero. It started out slow, and they were working their way in the building very, very methodically. But once they took down that Clash, like we said, that was the springboard that they used to just launch the rest of their attack. Pampa just cleaning them up. I mean, look at that, the wall bank to finish it off, and they moved in uncontested.
Yep. Cookie said F2 Basu, but that's not needed right here. It's the ace, and that's something that DarkZero, they have actually been putting Pampa on hard support operators before. You know, when they play Clubhouse, we see Pampa on the Thermite. This round on Bank, we see Pampa on the ace. Now he's hovering the Hibana in this attacker repick drone phase. And I really like this from a younger player like Pampa, where often when a new player comes into pro play, he gets put on a very simple role, right? You'll play entry, or you'll play flex, or whichever. But Pampa has kind of done a couple of things now. And based on what map that he's playing, that DarkZero's on, he will have a different role and a different job in each and every single one of those. And it really speaks to how much Pampa is putting in effort to learn the game of Rainbow Six Siege, right? Not just be a one-dimensional Ash main, as most young gunners are. And now we're allowing Hyper, who is no longer the young gunner. He's like the middle pack gunner these days, I guess. You know, he's not Troy, but he's not Pampa. And he gets to have fun with Finger LMG, so that's great. Everybody gets to shine.
Well, talking about the fluidity that Pampa brings to the table, he will continue to be on hard breach, but shifting from the ace and those Selmas to the X-Kairos pellets of the Hibana. You're headed downstairs now to attack lockers, and that makes sense. You've got to open some hatches. It's like 3 hatches, in fact. Generally, you're going to be wanting to open up early, and that's exactly the weapon you need to do it. You combine that, though, with the hard breach that the Thermite has. Eclipse is also bringing down that secondary hard breacher, so DarkZero should be totally fine in terms of the hard destruction that they've got in this round. But before they can get there, they've got to worry about this roam clear.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing about attack and repick, right? Is that you get the perfect operator lineup. You see the Jackal and you get the Hibana. So you drone the bomb site, you see its basement, you take Hibana and you take the Jackal, you get the roam clears you spoke about, and you get all the hatches that you want to breach opened up. It's the perfect situation. That's going to make Mirage's life so much more difficult. And Razor, if he does not get back on this server stairs right now, he's going to be stuck on this first floor forever.
Yeah, he's trying to get out of there. You can see him. He's trying to dodge that drone, which he shot out just before. Now there's one player up above trying to establish this angle, but Razor read that beautifully. The opening pick taking down Canadian to kick things off, and that's exactly the operator you want to remove. The Jackal, who maybe scanned 1 or 2 of those feet, not going to be able to do it anymore. He's done.
He is, but I would almost argue that Canadian got the job done, right? Because there's no roamers anymore. We know that because Razor literally sprinted towards server stairs when he killed Canadian. So, ironically enough, you picked the Jackal to clear the roamers, and you did just that, but it cost you your life. So, you played the 5 versus 4, but you got the right operators now. You got the Hibana, can open the hatches, you got the Thermite as well. I would argue this is the most amount of hard destruction you can get. You still have 4 grenades and 3 flashbangs, and you have smokes on Eclipse's Thermite as well, so the job isn't over. Mirage, they still gotta hold on.
Yeah, as long as DarkZero don't slow down here, as long as they keep up that attacking momentum, they should still be in a pretty good spot. There's another player just waiting to be picked off. Melted just exposes himself to that angle, and Eclipse, with still 50 HP remaining, is able to pick up that kill.
Yep, and you got Adrenal Surges from Finker, right? Hyper can now boost back up Eclipse to that almost full HP with the following 2 Adrenal Surges, and now you're playing 4v4. And Melted getting a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too eager to get into this round, and Razor might look to the same thing, but with more success here.
Well, Razor not trying to give up that second floor pressure just yet. He may have backed off initially, but he's still trying to be a menace on that second floor. It's actually Benji with the pistol that takes down Panda. He gets another? Are you kidding me? Goodbye, NJR. Eclipse falls. Marmalade claims that one. It is all up to Hyper just like that in a 1 versus 4. He is out of time. He has got to step up with 10 seconds left, and simply it is not looking realistic for him. He'll pick up Razor and a nice spray transfer onto Marmalade too. And that's a great place to start. They just have to find a way to not allow that defense to just fall to pieces when one core component dips away. And maybe that's why we're seeing a bit of a pivot here. We no longer see the clash, right? Tomas shifting to more of a traditional role of that smoke. And in addition to the intel that we saw in the last round from that Maestro and from the Echo, guess what? You've also got a Valkyrie.
I was gonna say, yeah, and Eclipse actually, with the attacker repick, went on to first the Dokebi, to hack the cameras if you get a kill, but then they went to IQ instead. So clearly DarkZero have figured out the operator lineup from the side of Mirage and used the attacker repick to really get, again, the perfect lineup for the situation. When you got the Yokai drones, when you got the Black Eye Valkyrie cameras, they're so difficult to find without the right tools, and well, IQ, she is the perfect tool to find them.
Exactly the counter that DarkZero needed to bring, and smart adjustment given how much intel they saw Mirage bring. Last time we went to this top 4, we can see Eclipse now sitting outside. One of the semi-recent changes of IQ is she no longer needs to worry about how far detecting those, and can she ping them? How is the rest of her team going to find them? You can just ping those through the scanner, through the wall to help your team get some clarity. And we saw an example of that early on. Eclipse outside pinged one of those cameras in the lobby, and that was quickly taken down by Pampa.
Yeah, it's a great quality of life change, just like with Castle Barricade. You can now just Castle Barricade over a regular barricade instead of pulling down the regular barricade first and then castling it up. And it's these small changes in, late year 6/early year 7 that's really been elevating the quality of life for Rainbow Six Siege, not just in a competitive setting, but also in a casual setting. All the things, they just feel more intuitive and they feel smoother, and it speeds up the pace of the game as well for these utility-heavy operators. And I mean, Benji, you are going to be in a lot of trouble here because you are all alone. Drones are coming out, yellow pings, right? They know where the ADSs are, and you got capital fire, you got 3 grenades, and you got an NGR on this window rappel cutting off your rotate. You're stuck.
Yeah, he is stuck, and he is in this position pretty much to die. But if he can waste another couple seconds off the clock here, he is sitting in a very good spot. I mean, already 2 minutes gone. And DarkZero have made very little progress. I mean, they're on the rappel and they're working their way through lobby, but that is about all the progress they can really speak to. NJR in this nade could be what opens up the round for them. It'll down Benji, and if the second nade could follow that up, he should be finished off just fine. But Razor actually picks off a kill onto NJR, so no more nades from the sledge.
Yeah, and I don't think they know for sure that he's injured because there hasn't been a drone coming out just yet. The nade did get the injury, but there's no, point system in Pro League, so you just simply don't know anymore. Rappel comes in, the yellow ping comes out, they now know, but they're inside the bomb site.
Eclipse gets the first, Pampa the second, and Mirage, the defense is crumbling again. Melted though, he stays steadfast, picks up 1, but then 2 trades right back leave Tomas all alone, and Canadian takes him down without a moment's notice. That was a lightning fast execute from DarkZero that really felt like that old traditional style of Siege where you're waiting, you're setting it up, and then 3, 2, 1, execute.
Yeah, and it looked kind of dire right in the beginning for DarkZero because they couldn't clear out Benji, but then the moment that they did, things really sped up. And yeah, the fire missed, the first nade went wide, but the second nade, it got the injury. Then they waited for that final drone to come up and confirm the injury in fact did happen, and once that confirmation was through, that's when they rappelled into the bomb site. The LMG went crazy. That was Canadian himself, Troy, getting 2 kills back to back, and now Mirage, they're on the same page as us, Jonah. They say, you know what, maybe we'll try out open area.
Yeah, I think they've realized that maybe CEO, that's just not it for now. We should move on, and yes, it's going to be open area and break room next for them. A similar theme in terms of intel because Marmalade is going to be sticking the Echo and bringing those yokai drones, but we do have some substantial changes to talk about. You've got the Mute coming out from Melted, no longer bringing the double intel with the Maestro and the Echo, and also Tomas is bringing out the Kaid and those Electro Claws into the mix here, and that does really feel like a pretty smart decision given the amount of hard destruction that generally those attacking teams will want to get done on the site. If you can hamper that a little bit, you're sitting pretty.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting because they changed their entire lineup. Eclipse went from Thermite to Maverick, Pampa went from Hibana to Finka, and Canadian went from Flores to Ace. So they did like a full rotation of like who's playing the Heartbreach, who's playing the Flex, who's playing the Injury. Hyper's now on Thatcher, Pampa is on the Finka. They changed it up and instantaneously the wall is open.
Yeah, they are moving in so quickly. The Selma charge went down on the wall before Tomas even got that second claw down really quickly and catching Mirage a little bit off guard there. Exactly what DarkZero were looking to do, given the struggles a little bit they've had with the clock in the past few rounds. A perfect way to make that adaptation. They haven't even had to go upstairs, clear anybody out before that progress is already made.
That sucks. Benji is right next to Razor on Castle with a shotgun, but Razor used the C4 instead. That is not efficient. You see right here, one room next to him, right nearby. Shotgun in his back pocket. Doesn't use it. Has to use the C4. Inefficient.
A little bit of a clumsy use of utility, yeah, and that could cost them in the future, especially if that plant is going down. You're out of yokai drones, and, well, you're out of C4s. Thankfully, you've got a pretty good gun in the hands of Benji. He hits a nice shot onto NJR, which will definitely kick things off for Mirage the right way. Benji looking for a second, but the UMP, if you're not finding the headshot, you're not doing much.
Yeah, that's the thing, guys. The 100 bullet LMG, you're stemmed up with the adrenal surge. It is so hard to win that gunfight unless you quite literally hits the first bullet headshot. I will say, though, for Benji's position and how it was coming about, he got the 1-for-1 trade. That's really great for him. The only thing they really lost was the C4 from Razor, as we touched upon earlier, but outside of that, it's actually not all bad because Sledge being off the board means vertically, there's not that much left anymore.
And you got 2 more C4s in pocket of the defense.
Got tons.
Too, right? Yeah, you've got Melted and you've got Tomas bringing out that C4 and that explosive utility. So at the end of the day, so much plant denial in your pocket when it comes down to that. But right now, the focus for DarkZero, it's on the vertical play. They haven't worked their way to the first floor just yet, aside from maybe a player in lobby or 2. There is somebody around the corner, though, and Razor's looking to take this fight, but just like me, he had no idea there was somebody sitting around the corner for a moment, so a double kill for Pampa.
Yep, it's a wide swing, and that does not work out at all. Now Tomas finding a gunfight as well on this side window, but he has nowhere to play, but gets injured. That's a great kill now to bring them back, but the side is under attack from Pampa soon.
Yeah, Pampa, a triple kill so far. There's the quad. He only needs 1 more, and he spots the head of Melted. All he's got to do is hold left click. He's got only 8 bullets left in the mag, though, so he does have to be a little bit careful. But the plant going down, the coverage is there. Pampa does have to reload, so he can't quite get this ace just yet. And Melted gets a kill in the meantime, but now Pampa's ready to go. He completes the reload, and he is 1 kill away from that ace. He'll throw a nade to force Melted to move. He'll go for the wide swing, trying to spot something out, but the SMG-11 is not kind in a range like this. Actually, Pampa drops down to the basement. That may be accidental, so Hyper is the last player to really get to stare at Melted, but now both
they're
players...
they're gonna give it to him.
Both players have rejoined it. Pampa wants the ace, and he will get it. That is so well played from him, just sending himself into that bomb site, getting that first trade, and then taking down every single defender as the round progressed.
Oh my god. I love when players do this actually, because in this situation, right, they played it very smart in the 1v2 with Hyper and Pampa, and they basically said, you know what, this round is basically won, Pampa, get the ace. So you see Hyper step backwards down Osa, and it's a basement attack. This kind of indicates from the get-go it could be like a direct server attack, could go garage, but then I get too quick because now they're changing it again. Now they go Hibana to Finka, the Thatcher goes to the 0, but we are still sticking the Osa. So many things are happening inside the team speak of these teams in attack or repick, where they're just deciding what's going to be the approach, what operators do we need, and who's gonna play them.
I love this change because we never really know what the attackers are going to bring until that prep phase ends, right? They keep us guessing, which is always fun as casters, and hey, they can bring out some pretty creative lineups while they're doing that. So we've got a combination of the 0 and the Osa right now. So
There it is.
Maybe looking to get a little bit more in terms of flank watch, but it's possible that DarkZero just want to go a little bit more direct. I mean, like you said, we've got Canadian already on that Osa inside of CCTV, looking to make that push.
Yeah, the Osa makes sense for direct attack because of how our gadget works, and then, you know, Eclipse with Thermite, if you can get control above in, like, bottom square, where Eclipse is droning right now, and then Eclipse will come into server, breach both the walls, you put down an Osa shield, then you can plant comfortably behind the shield because there's no lines of sight. Mirage, though, actually have played pretty well around this. Soft falls to the bomb site, the A hatch to the bomb site itself has been opened up, but I would argue that this is a very good counter because of the Osa shield. The only way you die if you're DarkZero is to either a flank or a C4 or a toxic smoke grenade. That's it. No gun should get the kills as long as these Osa shields can stay alive.
Yeah, slipped up a moment ago. Of course, pushing into server with an idea of getting into CCTV in just a moment and using, like you said, that Osa shield to get there. Canadian actually taking this fight, maybe looking for the long angle. He does want to get this second shield employed, though, and he'll be assisted by NJR to get that done. But DarkZero are in an interesting spot, because they've got 2 players ready to go, theoretically, but they don't have vertical control at all. You can see Tomas sitting up above, ready to deny both of these players as they push in. DarkZero, yes, gets that second kill to trade, but again, Mirage, they got the first one right off the rip. So we're back in a 4v4, and DarkZero, yes, they could push this site at any moment, but you still have the smokes from Melted. That's going to delay time. You still have the C4 from Benji to watch out for.
Yeah, that is, and now, you know, if you're DarkZero, you gotta stall out this utility and just sit tight. Maybe try and get a pick if somebody swings, and there's a swing. Hybrid does not get the kill, however, it's damage done, but that's all there is now. Second smoke grenade from the side of a DC comes out, trying to bait out the plant. In fact, it's real this time. It's coming out.
Canadian already sticking this, and we're trying to see where's that C4 from Benji, where's the swing from Tomas. He'll step up and actually take down Eclipse on the coverage, but the plant will go down uncontested. Pampa picked up one in the meanwhile, but now Canadian has a double Osa shield protection. It's actually behind. The bomb is planted behind that Osa shield. You see Mirage trying to throw their bodies at this problem, but it is such an awkward situation. Melted gets one, and now Tomas sticking this defuse. Perfect nade, though, to shut him down, and 20 seconds Mirage have to get this defuse off because Pampa is now up above using the vertical play to his advantage. Melted, lit up. Here comes Pampa on the drop, but he gets taken down before he can swing the other side. Osa shields, looks like in the end, they actually help the defense a little bit.
Yeah, it's awkward, right? Because it's not like a mirror window where it's a one-way mirror. The Osa shields, they are completely see-through from both sides, and it creates this very awkward situation of like, are you gonna peek me? Am I gonna peek you? And Tomas actually walked up, just punched the first shield and said, you know what? Now you can't see me just yet. And they just swung with 3 people in towards servers, and Canadian, he got overwhelmed and couldn't find any openings. There wasn't enough cover from up above to really assist him in that position, and it really came down to, well, if Canadian could take down 1 or 2 players with him, he's in a great position. And I'd almost argue, if possible, maybe he should have backed up all into the dirt tunnel itself, played even further back, and that Osa shield would be a distraction more than anything, because, you know, as you mentioned, they can see you. You're not actually that sneaky.
I love that creativity, though. I mean, clearly Canadian's been putting in the work behind the scenes. I know, BC no longer in the coaching role at DarkZero. You've got Mint stepping into the sole coach, but I know Canadian, he's also a big creative mind behind this team. Really trying to innovate, trying to bring out those Osa shields, and even though it didn't quite work out in the end, love where his head's at, because that's the kind of thing that is going to put you on top of an NA region that is getting increasingly competitive stage after stage.
Absolutely, and it's very logical, right? We saw the Osa doing the attack or repick, and we said it could be a Garrison Server direct attack, and we said that because it makes sense. It's almost like the Monty effect. You have a shield, you can walk on in, you have cover, and they did just that, although it didn't really work out exactly as they intended, even though they got the bomb down, which not only would indicate the round is over, because retaking a bomb site as a defender is extremely difficult on Rainbow Six Siege. So normally, when the bomb gets planted, then it's to tell you that, you know what, GG guys, good round, just hold an angle now. Mirage did a really good job at playing together and being super aggressive into the retake in union, and therefore finding the picks that they needed.
Well, if they can also play together in this round on this top floor hold, it will also benefit them a lot, because once again, it is about the clock, about how much time they can waste as DarkZero try to work their way in the building. Mirage, if they can equalize at 3-3, they will be in a really good spot, and your prediction has, well, a good chance of coming through as we get to that next half, but still, we got to see how Benji can hold this one down, because Razor, who was also on that top floor, he's already been taken care of. Benji does get that trade, though, as he drops away to that first floor. So, minute 15 in, you've gone 1 for 1, but for DarkZero, they got the top floor control they were looking for.
I actually think that might have been an oversight from Pampa and DarkZero, because you killed Razor, but last time on this attack, it was Benji that you killed first, so you almost should have known that Benji would be in that same similar position. Pampa didn't realize, he was sprinting inside of lobby and got shot in the back, super easy kill. Slight oversight, but the difference is NGR on this sledge is alive this time around, and Hyper has brought the buck as well, so there's so much soft destruction from the side of DarkZero. And they even have the Maverick to open up the wall into sight. That's what Eclipse is doing right now. Hyper helps him out, and that's just going to apply so much pressure onto Mirage. As you see right here with Tomas running around, nowhere is safe.
Yeah, they're forced to scramble around the bomb site right now as they lose this cover. Like you said, the vertical pressure from above, you've now got the wall open. You have got a very tough place if you want to sit back and try to hide. Marmalade tries to take a fight, actually, but she'll end up losing her life
they're just
because
running.
of it. Yeah, Tomas, literally no idea where to sit, and he'll die just out in the open.
Yep, Benji now has to make a huge play on this flank here, but there aren't even that many players that he can find, because half the team of DarkZero are up above, and I think they actually have a good idea that he might be creeping around.
Trying to get a bit of a flank off, but look at this. Both DarkZero players just turned and faced him. They know exactly where he is, and he is not much longer for this world. It is all up to Melted. The bomb's going down, though, and it actually never could go fully down because NJR just got the kill and cleaned it up. So DarkZero, they will bounce back from a troubling round 5. Round 6, they'll take it. So a 4-2 half overall. Pretty good stuff on the attack from them. I like what I saw.
Absolutely, and I think you can be pretty happy with that. Whether the map is attacker favorite or defender favorite, getting a 4-2 side is always good. It gives you a bit of momentum and a bit of leeway where you're now allowed to make a few mistakes. You know, you can lose the next 2 rounds in a row and you're not even behind, you're tied up 4-4. Whereas if you lose the following 2 rounds if you're Mirage, then we're talking match point 6-2, and that's when the pressure just starts, you know, building even further. And we see DC actually starting on the very bomb site that is open area, the most mobility movement-based bomb site, with the one caveat is like, well, if the attackers get vertical control and you get the breaches open, as we just saw, it becomes very dire. And Pambasu, doing the Pampa special as he also did on Coastline, he's playing Oryx, and he's also 11-3.
We talked about that mobility, and that's exactly why the Oryx is so big here, because he is the definition of mobility on a map like this. Not only can he just, turn his shoulder and burst through a wall, but he can hop up hatches. And on a map like Bank with so many hatches and such a big map at that, a map that is very tough for an attacking team to get the full control over, even when you do have those zero cams, that could be the weapon that DarkZero need to kind of throw Mirage off balance. It'll have to assess if they can spot out that Oryx first, then maybe they'll be on their toes a little bit.
Yeah, and looking at Mirage's lineup, they brought the Zero as well. That's for the information, for the map control, so we can assume they're going to be going up above, much like DC, and try and take as much map control as possible. And in similar fashion of Benji and Razor, it's Canadian on that Roni with the 1.5x trying to contest up above, but Melted getting up these nice Arcus cameras on the Zero, almost in like Valkyrie camera-ish positions if you were a defender, just getting as much vision of lobby as possible and trying to nail down the entire rotation from DarkZero.
Well, Canadian, as you can tell, playing the Mozzie up above, trying to be another roam threat. Oh, he does get spotted out by a drone, though, and so he'll use that Q to drop down the elevator hatch and back off. Razor is not very far behind that drone, so good timing from Canadian to get out of there, and now he can use potentially another weapon that he's got in his pocket. He's got a C4, so the players up above do have to be wary if Canadian decides to work his way back up the main stairs, but for now, he just continues to elude this attack. He'll actually head all the way to the basement to keep mixing things up as the attack continues to work their way in up top.
The big difference here is that Mirage are actually acting a lot faster on the movement, through the map than DarkZero were, and similar story, when they were defending up above, it was two players. It was Razor and, Razor, speaking of the man, gets the opening kill. That's the nade onto Eclipse, and Benji making swift movements once out of Teller's archives. They're all over the map.
Yeah, they're trying to move in quickly and open up as many avenues as they can to spot out these defenders. Canadian just narrowly avoiding that angle because it looked like, for a moment, Mirage would have a heads up in that gunfight. But now I guess it's Pampa who comes under siege. A drone spots him out, so he's forced to dance around the site a little bit and relocate, much like we saw when DarkZero were attacking this site. But it looks like Hyper is able to get something back. He'll take down Tomas, an impact initially missing, but eventually finding the mark, but Melted takes down Pampa in response, so Mirage keep that advantage by 1.
Yeah, but the thing is, Mirage has so much time left, almost a full minute on the clock, and they still have one more exothermic charge. They still got the Maverick torch as well to work with that on top, and they have one nade left now from the side of Razor, so this impact, if it can strike true, and it does, that's going to buy DC so much protection inside the bomb site. That could be a defining moment for this round.
And the only hard breach that these teams have left, or Mirage has left, is potentially, that breaching torch, but it takes a long time to use. You've got the secondary breaching charge from Melted, you've got that can opener on the Zero, but you're running out of time, and now you're running out of bodies. Melted is gone, Razor is gone, and last alive is Benji. He has 3 defenders to find, and he's got 15 seconds. That diffuser is not going to be recovered in time. This round is looking all but over for him unless he can pull out a miracle. He's got the LMG and more than enough bullets to do so. He'll pick up the first onto Hyper, but as he vaults in the window, he gets taken down before he even knew what hit him.
Yeah, it actually looks so cursed that there's like 16 seconds left and Benji goes for a reload because he has to with the LMG. And it's like, give me 6 seconds, guys. Wait. Oh, now I can go. Gets 1 kill, and then, he has to jump in the window. Gets taken out. There's no way you win that gunfight, unfortunately. But DC obviously playing open area with a very good understanding of the win condition from the side of Mirage, right? The Thermite. Trying to breach open the walls. They played 2 different sets of impacts, so that's 4. And, well, Hyper missed 1, then hit the second. And that's fine because there's a backup set on Eclipse as well on that Maestro. And you don't even need to do any work on that bomb site if you deny the walls from being opened up because they simply have no real way in. Sure, Melted had the can opener, the secondary Heartbreach gadget. Sure, Razor was playing the torch on Maverick, but they never really got to use them in full effect, and therefore, well, the walls just did not get opened up, and it didn't really work out for them.
I love that reload sound, by the way. I wonder if you could get that in the game, as I reload that LMG here. That's great. That's great. But, yeah, like you said, we are now... it's not quite dire straits for Mirage, but, you are 1 round away from potentially match point in terms of your opponents being on match point, so they've got to pick it up here. They do not want to allow 1 more round just to slip away. Going with the same lineup as well, so really keeping the same concept in terms of the intel from the Zero and the dual hard breach. I'd like to see a little bit more variation, though, considering we have repick and you can change it up based on the site. We're going to the basement after all, and where's the Hibana?
That's a very good point. I mean, Super said it. When you have attacker repick, you should always have the best lineup possible. When you're attacking basement and you're running Thermite and secondary can openers, I would argue it's an all-right situation, but there are better, tools available. And speaking of historic, and like Bank being a historic map, you know what's historic right now? Canadian on Pulse. That is something that I love to see because it just brings back, like, memories from 4 or 5 years back. Bank basement, you're sitting on the bomb side, you're scanning into server, you're, scanning main stairs flank. You're like, okay, no one's holding main stairs. Guys, I'm going to run up and make a play. And, well, Mirage, they're working their way through the map, sure, but they're actually a bit slower than the previous time. They haven't found a kill. They haven't really gotten much done so far, considering the DarkZero are all in the basement. Like, there's no roaming presence from them really at all. I say that there's a guy in open area, like, sitting on the touch, but like, Eclipse hasn't moved a muscle. So, does he really have a roaming presence? I don't think so. He's more like sitting, waiting, killing one drone, and likely dropping.
Right, I mean, only 2 of those Mirage drones have actually been taken down, so it's possible he's just trying to sit in the corner and bide his time, but now he's definitely exposed his position.
There it is.
And so now
that's the one drone.
Right, not a lot of pressure being applied from him in terms of the entire map, but in the same vein, Mirage not getting there all that quickly, but they now have 90 seconds to get their way onto that first floor and begin pressuring the basement. No more roamers, no more surprises to deal with, but the thing is, for DarkZero, they've got Canadian on that pulse. Like you said, they're going to know exactly where Mirage are coming from and exactly how to position to counter them. Are they going to see that vault drop? Are they going to see that server push? Canadian has all those answers. Yeah,
we see Pampa actually using the smoke canisters on the server stairs like we spoke of earlier, and then we're like, well, the toxic babes are needed for the plant later, and that's where NGR on the Tashanka is going to be supplementing or replacing the smoke because Pampasu is expected to die on the server stairs. If he doesn't, that's great, but let's be completely honest, he's not supposed to live for another 20 seconds.
Well, here comes the nade on cue. Pampa somehow avoids it, whips out the shotgun, goes right up the stairs, but only finds his grave up top. Almost makes quite a play happen, but Tomas takes him down before he can do much more. So finally, with 30 seconds left in the round, here come Mirage. Canadian knows what's coming, though. He's got a C4 ready, he's got the Chachanka and those Shumika launchers ready to go, and this could stall out the remainder of the clock. Mirage, all they've got to do, well, they're going to have to push through that fire. If they don't, they're going to be in a bit of a tough spot. You could have this drop from above, though, but again, the fire right on Marmalade's landing spot. Is she getting this plant down in the fire? Maybe just avoiding it, but sticking this plant with 5 seconds left, a perfect C4 that pretty much ends the round for Mirage, unless Razor can secure this, and the coverage is there. Otherwise, this is going to be a tough plant to stick. NJR collects another kill, and we're in a 2v2, but now we are in a post plant. Razor and Benji find the last 2, and Mirage turn it around, recovering that diffuser with 2 seconds left, sticking it. Great coverage and securing the round because of it. Well played.
That is ridiculous, right? Marm, like, juked the fire by like an inch. Just an inch. I thought she was in the fire, so she wasn't taking damage. She was indeed safe. C4 comes out. Teammate almost takes it out, but once again, 1 inch too far away, misses the C4. Marm goes down planting, doing what support players do. Then the replacement comes in, and you just trust the process. You trust that your teammate will cover you adequately, and that you will not die while holding down that F button and trying to get the plant down, and it worked. The cover from Mirage was superb. There was no answer available from DarkZero. I don't think there was any more C4s. I would argue, or think at least, there was a Shurima launcher, grenade left, but in that moment, do you really want to swap your weapon and reload while all that madness and chaos is going on? Because while they were planting, players were aggressing into the bomb site and creating a distraction because they knew if the plant goes down, we'll be okay. That's our win condition. And, well, DC, they're changing up the bomb site, started in open, went to basement. Now, for the first time in this matchup, Taylor's Archives bomb site, actually, which, before the Bang rework, this was like the, absolute most poor defending bomb site in the world. It was terrible. It's like Bar and Clubhouse. It just didn't work because all that vertical destruction above. And then we gotta look at the lineup again. Jackal's being brought up from Razor. They can now clear the map extremely fast, presumably, and Canadian, once again, solo roaming up above. Actually, I take that back. Pampa's there. He broke it. There is support for him. Good for DC.
Right, you also have those Banshees set up. You have those Kona stations that are being brought out from the Thunderbird, which give you a little bit of health and fortify those power positions, those extended positions that you're looking to hold on the defense. So really, if Pampa does take a bullet or two, he can drop back to the site, get healed up, and really nobody has to be the wiser. So that could be the setup that DZ are trying to go here. You've got that dual hold on the top floor, and again, it's going to be all about the clock. It's going to be all about the utility, and anything they can waste on the side of Mirage is going to put them in a really good spot spot on the defense.
Yeah, but Benji is in there. I don't think they know just yet. And Canadian inside the top floor elevator can drop down if he has to. And, well, half the drones are being killed from the side of Mirage. Only 5 left right now. And that means that no info from Benji will be found. They don't know. Canadian drops that might give away the sound cue. But he knows somebody might be inside of ATM. And, indeed, there is. Melted on those Arcus cameras on the Zero. You don't need that many drones alive because Zero's gadget will give you the same amount of information, if not more.
Well, with that information, Mirage are looking to pinch these players out. There's somebody positioned on the basement stairs as well who may be looking to get involved and work their way up to the first floor, but Benji is not going to allow that to happen, holding that angle still for the last about 15-20 seconds from that top floor. Now you're throwing Razor into the mix, and Benji, there's the cue, taking down Canadian, who did try to get involved, simply not allowing that kind of aggressive play. So great coverage from Mirage here, but you got to be careful. You've got Eclipse to worry about. Pampa also stepping up, surprising Razor, surprising Benji, and Mirage, they thought they had this control, but they just didn't have enough.
Yeah, that's DC getting active. Hyper follows up as well. So that's 3 for 3 there in separate players from the lineup. It's just individual 1v1 gunfights going in favor of one team. That is DarkZero right now. 2 versus 4. A minute left on the clock. And Marm trying to find a free pick, but there's nobody here really. On this hard one-side open area is one player from DC hiding. Melted, similar story. They're just hiding from their opponents. DC doesn't want to give them anything, but Marm inside the bomb site gets taken out, leaving just Melted left.
Yeah, there he goes. NJR cleaning them up with the assault rifle in hand. The Thunderbird working well for him, and DarkZero as a whole, that was a very cohesive round. It looked like Mirage had made some good progress. They'd forced DarkZero off of those roam positions, but in the same vein, DarkZero also allowing that to happen. They did back off. They did give up that control in order to save their lives, and even though Canadian did get a bit too aggressive for his own good eventually, you had several players willing to step up and bring that one back. We saw them get a little bit aggressive, and the control that Mirage thought they had was quickly stripped away. Then there were 2 players left. It was Melted and Marmalade, and they really couldn't do much to pick up the pieces.
We had we've done some interviews with, players and coaches and stuff throughout the last, week or 2 and whatnot. Tonight kind of build up, storylines and get insight and kind of see where the players' heads at with Rainbow Six Siege right now in the current rosters. And I don't know if you have the exact quote on hand from Tomas, but he was like, something, a lot of gunpower.
Gunpower, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, something very much massive gunpower, and who's gonna scream louder? Jonah.
This was a tough question.
It
right?
was.
Much like we talked about the gunpower he can bring in game, he brings a lot of that hype, Tomas. But it looks like the community decided it was Canadian.
It was close, though.
More hype, but it was much closer than our last poll.
58-42 is actually, considering the fact that you're up against Canadian, like the IGL, the person. And then you have Tomas, who's, like, with all due respect, Tomas is a great person, great player, but, like, you cannot compare these two in the IGL, department. Very close vote. I respect the fact that the community respected this choice.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a ton of Tomas popping up and screaming. It could be that he's not doing that. Maybe we're just not catching him in the right moments. But to be fair, Mirage, only won 3 rounds. There hasn't been a ton of those hype clutch moments that maybe he's used to, so that has put them in a little bit of tough spots. So I can see where the community's coming from on that poll. But back to the action in front of us, because it is match point. And Mirage, it is their last shot to bring this one back. They've got to pull off a 3-round comeback, 3 rounds in a row on any DarkZero site they could possibly choose, just to send this one to overtime and try to secure that 1 point. DarkZero, they're looking for those 3 points. They're looking to close it out right now.
It's funny to watch this because Razor and Canadian, they do the exact same thing every round, right? Razor will go in at about 2:35, and then Canadian drops at about 2:11, and right when Canadian drops, Razor chases him. And it's happened like 3 rounds back to back to back. Now it's like both of these teams are so telegraphed because they have like a checklist in their mind of how they want to approach the map, and it just speaks to the experience that the players in Mirage that have been playing for a long time, that they bring, right? Because they clearly have a very set way of playing the game, something that DC is known for themselves to be a little bit slow. I believe Doa said perfection to a fault, where sometimes DC, they get caught kind of trying to do everything perfectly, and then the clock runs out and they look fools, to be blunt, right? It was like, oh, you lost on time, even though the round was perfect. Like, that's not actually good. So I like seeing from Mirage that they're not just running around like headless chickens, trying to figure out where are the enemies. They actually have a very set goal in mind with each and every single action.
Well, Melted is actually the one to take the first brief skirmish, but neither player, him nor, I believe that maybe was Pampa, or no, NJR holding that angle, trying to get something going. But yes, you've got a bit of a play with Eclipse from below, holding the shotgun. He's joined by Canadian.
Oh, it's another breach. The shotgun hatch, the C4. Look at this. Wait for it. The call should be coming out here.
There
C4.
Oh, that's beautiful!
Yes!
Canadian takes down Razor. The perfect timing on that. Hyper will collect the kill onto Tomas at the same time. Melted falls thanks to Hyper as he cleans that one up. Marmalade will get recovered, but it is still a 2v4. That was so well played there from DarkZero. Some really good intel and well-timed. Mirage had no idea what just hit them. Marmalade, having just been revived, is on incredibly low HP. You've got Benji trying to make something happen, but you can't get this wall open. You're not going to be able to do much. You've only got 20 seconds remaining on this clock. Marmalade unsure of where exactly these defenders are positioned, trying to flash Canadian on the blue stairs, picking up that kill, thankfully, but now they are out of time. Castled out of here. They've just got to sprint on in, but NJR denies them both. Goodbye, Marmalade and Benji, and that is the map. Cleaned up nicely by DarkZero. We had a couple of rounds in the middle where maybe it looked like Mirage could make a comeback, but for the most part, it was a DarkZero map. Deserved the win.
Absolutely, and I will say, both teams played strategically, both teams played well, but during the